now we're moving back, so we know where we're going.
Well, I like both places,
Yeah.
both Texas and North Carolina. So you can't hardly go wrong.
Nope. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get to here.
Mhm. Are you going to that? There was an author retreat coming up real soon. Misu's going to that, and I don't know who all else.
Oh, no, I go with to my plotting retreat once a year with some girlfriends, but we do that in the spring.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah. We did a plotting group in Arizona with Faith, Hope, and Love Christian writers. And
Oh, fun.
yeah, it was real fun. And the fun thing was they had a historical group and then they had a romance group. And I was going to join the historical group, but I could tell this one woman was just taking it over. And I was like, I don't think I want to be in that group after all. And she
Oh,
was
no.
like asking a lot of questions only about
Yeah.
the book and not letting anybody else talk. So I went to the romance group. Oh my goodness, those romance gals. They just were so bright and had so
Oh,
many answers
fun.
so fast. I
Yeah.
just had a ball. So,
I, what I love about our plotting group is we all write in different genres.
mhm.
And so we get such a different mix of ideas,
Yeah,
mystery and literary. And so it really kind of
yeah.
gives me wind in my wings. By the
Well,
time I come home, I'm ready to
that's it.
go.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I that's kind of what I experienced with those
Hmm.
romance writers, It's
Yeah.
like,
It strengthens you in other areas.
yeah,
So, yeah.
All right.
probably the
We are in business. Hello,
right.
Rebecca is
Okay.
already here.
Oh,
Hi,
good.
Rebecca.
We're live. Thankfully, the Lord worked out our technical things.
See, I
Um,
told you she prayed.
You pray.
who Rebecca prayed?
No, you
You
prayed.
prayed.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, Rebecca's praying too. I know that. Rebecca, it's good to see you. I'm glad you made it. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us live, we are excited to welcome Connilyn Cossette and Splendor of the Land to BFA. And we've got giveaways, we've got a read aloud, we've got question and answer. And it's your time to shine as an audience because we're doing trivia. So let's see how you do against our biblical fiction writers right here. So we've got a great time lined up. It's always a great chat. The giveaways will be open through the weekend. So make sure you are commenting because there are giveaways for Connilyn's publisher has offered a couple of giveaways. So we're excited for that. The paperbacks. I've gotten an advanced copy and you don't want to miss this one. And yeah, so that'll be for US addresses only. And then Connilyn said that she would give out some book plates and cool swag too. So you make sure you're
Absolutely.
commenting and make sure you're interacting. And if you're watching in the replay, it will be open through the weekend. So make sure you're getting those comments in. Yay, Melissa, thanks for joining us. Welcome, welcome. We're glad to have you. Good deal. So let's see. It's been a hot minute since we've done these. Dana, how are you? What are you up to these days, Dana? Are you got any updates for us?
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out for me just a little bit. Are you
Oh,
asking
sorry.
me if I have any updates?
Yeah. Do you have any updates?
Um, Well, I've been working on a book set in the time of the prophetess Anna in the first century temple. I'm having an awfully lot of fun with that. I also have a young boy in that because, after Jaden, after Avon, I guess I've just got to have a young boy in my story. So I've got a young boy. I haven't put an animal in there yet. So if anybody has any comments about the token animal, let me know.
Has to have an animal for
Yeah.
sure.
That's about it. Other than that, it's real hot here. And I think we might get some really hot weather next week. They're saying maybe 120. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh my goodness.
Sometimes.
That 99 was hot
Arizona,
today. Oh my goodness.
Arizona gets away with saying it's a dry heat, but honestly, when you're past like 105, it's just like an
Yeah.
oven. So
Up to 105, we think that's just fine. But over 105, it gets a little sticky.
Wow.
hi, Lisa from Cincinnati. Yeah, Beth. It's intense. It is intense here for real. So, but we got great winners, I guess. I don't know. I just read something recently about like the 5 stages of Arizona weather denial or something. Like you're like, it's not that bad. It's a dry heat, and then like you kind of like keep making excuses for it.
Oh, well, it's home. What can you do?
What can you do? Yeah. So, my book, and they were persuaded, is still with editors. So Donna and I are working on that and hoping to get that moving forward. So we're really thankful for our editors who's doing a great job. And it's coming. It's coming. But so this covers New Testament's a sequel to And They Were Persuaded. We're still in the book of Acts. We've got Barnabas and Timothy and the Philippian jailer and Damaris. So in this collection. So we're Rebecca's whining over 91. It's okay. It's still hot.
She's in Oregon, so there you go.
That's right.
All relative, right?
We all kind of have our own level of hot, so it's not a competition.
Yeah.
So good deal. Let's see. Let's see, I've got the book blurb written, Dana. Did you want to ask about Connie and her family?
Oh, are my questions? Okay. Connie, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your family?
Sure. So I'm Connilyn Cossette. I know everybody says Connilyn, but it is Connilyn. I have a 21-year-old son. Well, he'll be 21 in a couple of weeks, and a 19-year-old daughter, or 18-year-old daughter, and she's heading off to college in 2 weeks. And so it's very bittersweet. I'm excited for her to go spread her wings and go fly, but I'm having a little bit of mommy anxiety right now. So, but she's packing up her stuff and getting ready to go. She's actually going to a film camp this week. She's planning to go into filmmaking at Liberty University. So she's going to a film camp this week. So actually, my time with her is cut in half because of that. So she'll be leaving on Saturday, and then pretty much she'll be heading off to college. So. And
Wow.
we're in Texas right now, but I just announced recently that we bought a house in North Carolina, and we're going to be doing some remodeling on that, and then we'll be moving there in probably October or November, kind of depending on how things go.
That's so exciting.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. What an exciting stage.
Yes, I'm very excited. And what I'm most excited about is that I'm going to be 3 hours away from my daughter instead of 18 hours away from my daughter. So
Yeah.
And then moving with you too?
Is that the one that's going to be in college? I'm sorry.
yes, yep, she's going to be at Liberty University in Virginia. And so it's just a hop, skip, and a jump up from the Charlotte area up there. So really excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this is book 3 of Saul's Men. What is
The Kingsmen.
The Kingsmen.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Kingsmen. Yep. Book 3, Splendor of the Land.
Splendor of the Land. So I read book 1, so I feel like you can read them separately as standalones.
Yes, you
Because
could,
I'm in the
but
middle
you
of book 3, and
yeah. And you might miss some little things. I mean, it's definitely more satisfying to read them in order, but you
of course,
could read them out of order for sure.
I
awesome. Yeah.
agree. And I did read 1 and 2. And as I, began 3, I kind of caught on to a couple of the characters and what they were doing and what they had done. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
so I agree. Either,
Hopefully there's enough clues that
yeah,
you can pick
yeah,
up.
you do that. So,
Beth says yay to the Virginia to Liberty because that's where she's at. She's in
That's
Virginia.
right. I'll be closer to her. That's true.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Like a reader meetup. I would love
Yeah.
that. It's amazing. Probably my favorite so far. You're so sweet, Lisa, and Rebecca's as well. So for those of you who are on the can't wait to read it and haven't yet read it, here's a little bit about Splendor of the Land. Gavriel, a soldier in the elite company of Yonatan, son of King Saul, dreams of forging his destiny through crafting weapons with his own hands. Despite earning his place among Israel's finest, he is haunted by a dark past which no distraction can dispel. When his reckless behavior crosses a line, Yonatan gives him one last mission to prove his worth: help persuade a distant Kenite tribe to sever their ties with the Amalekites. Zahava, a gifted goldsmith hidden behind her father's legacy, lives in the shadows due to her physical affliction. Her unmatched and unrecognized talent is closely guarded secret within her family. Disheartened by a future that seems unattainable, she resigns herself to a life of obscurity. However, when Gavriel arrives in her village, they're tangled together in ways neither could have imagined. As they navigate unforeseen dangers and enemy threats, Gavriel must confront his past and either bend his knee to the one true king or lose the woman he loves forever. Wow, that sounds pretty epic. It sounds like right along the lines of all the other Connilyn Cossette books. I
Yeah,
love
this
it.
was a really fun book to write, I have to tell you. Gabby starts out as quite a mess,
Yeah,
and people have seen that he's been a mess in the first 2 books, and but I haven't really described why. And so it was really fun to build a redemption arc with Gabrielle.
I love it.
hmm. So do you have an idea for the redemption arc way back when in the early part of
One.
the series?
I think it kind of came to me over the course of the first 2 books.
Uh-huh.
But I think it sharpened even as I was just first plotting this book.
Yeah,
And I'm very satisfied with the way that it came out. I feel like I
sure.
really was able to push into it and make it a lot deeper than I kind of started out with.
Yeah. That's that's the joy of writing, I think. It's
Yeah.
like you might have a plot in mind, you might have
Mhm.
a story arc, and especially when it's a series,
Yes.
then it gets tricky. But
Yeah.
sometimes the trickier it is, the more, like it's just a big deal, like fireworks,
Yeah.
when it all
Yeah.
comes together.
As long as you leave room for the plot to grow. I'm not a super plotter person. I'll plot chapters and things, but I really kind of let it flow within chapters. And so it was so cool to have things pop up that I didn't even expect with him.
Hmm.
Lisa loves his redemption story. It made it so great. And
Good.
Melissa, I've read all 3. I appreciate how the characters are interconnected. This arc for Gavi was really good. And Rebecca says, I love how you had Zahava be a metalsmith.
Yeah, that was fun. Once I found out that the Kenite people in the Bible were metalsmiths traditionally, I just thought that was such a fun connection because he wanted to make weapons from the time he was a young boy, and here is Zahava, who is an expert goldsmith, and so that was kind of fun to tie that together.
Yeah, that's fun. That's super fun. So, all right. So Dana and I talked about changing things up a little bit. So before we get more into the questions, we thought we'd have Connie give her reading now, so we can kind of talk about what we're reading. So, um,
Okay.
So let's go ahead, and Connilyn said she's going to read the prologue for us. So if you've not read it, or if you have read it and you're ready for a refresher, here we go.
Okay, so this is Gavriel, 1043 BC in Mitzpah, Israel. You may be older than me, Zevi, but I haven't been a boy in a long time. I can take care of myself. I let the words fall hard between me and my eldest cousin, thrilling a little at the flare of indignation in his eyes. Zevi rarely reacted to my jabs, so it gave me a jolt of satisfaction to see him flinch. He was almost as arrogant as Hanan sometimes. I knew no one as self-satisfied as my uncle. Ever since my cousins and I had crept up onto the ridge to watch the selection of the new king of Israel early this morning, I'd been aching to get closer to the gatherings. Now that I'd seen a fellow Benjamite named Saul ben Kish anointed as sovereign, no one was going to stop me from finding out what was going on in the valley below. I turned my back on Zevi's judgmental glare, but caught sight of the frustration on Shalem's face as I did. The youngest of the four of us, Shay hated being left behind than anything. I couldn't blame him. I'd lose my mind if Zevi and Abidan coddled me the way they did him, terrified that his parents would flay them alive if he was hurt. The boy needed to toughen up. Eov and Hodiah couldn't wrap their precious youngest in thick wool for the rest of his days. Perhaps I should have invited Shay, since he was the only one curious about which warriors had already offered their swords to the new king. But getting close to hear what the men was saying was going to be hard enough without a sniveling pup underfoot, pelting me with 1,000 questions. There was no easy path down from the granite ridge where we'd been spying on the proceedings, and the underbrush was thick after the long rainy season. But I knew these hills like I knew my favorite glade, and it was easy enough to ghost barefooted through the trees and pluck my way among the boulders until I was within earshot of the group gathered around Saul. From the snatches of conversation that floated toward me, I guessed most of them to be Benjamite, but there were a few others whose subtle accents indicated they hailed from the north, perhaps Ephraim or western Manasseh. I'd never cared much about who might sit on the throne of Israel before now. I only wanted a leader to crush our enemies. But when it had been a man of my own tribe selected, pride for my lineage swept through me like never before. From the very beginning, when the youngest of Jacob's sons were born, the other tribes had looked down on Benjamin, but not anymore. Not only was Saul ben Kish the chosen ruler of our nation, he was nearly a head taller than anyone around him. With a thick beard and warrior-wide shoulders, he was a man to be feared, both on and off the battlefield. Our enemies would quiver in their sandals. No more laughing at our headless nation, mocking us as a horde of ignorant shepherds and farmers, or stealing our land and oppressing our people. With Saul and his warriors in the lead, our enemies would water the ground beneath their feet when they saw us coming. And I'd be right there alongside my tribesmen, my own weapons in hand. I pressed my palm to the sheathed knife in my belt out of habit. It was the best one I'd made so far. Strong, sleek, perfectly balanced. I'd spent 10 days carving the pommel to fit my left hand, the groove shaped for my grip alone. Two men stood on the periphery, one tall and dark-haired, his broad-chested form undoubtedly that of a warrior, and the other shorter, with fiery red hair, but no less built for battle. We should take back Ephraim first, said the red-haired one, or the Philistines will push us farther into our territories. We should have sent them back to the coastlands long before now. The Philistines had captured nearly all Ephraimite territory when they sacked Shiloh decades ago. Those who did not escape after the Mishkan was destroyed remained under ruthless domination by those who hated us most. He's been king for less than an hour, Emmett, said the taller one. A campaign like that would take time, resources, and well-trained men, all of which we are sorely lacking right now. Besides, it will require united effort between the tribes. Emmett scoffed. It's been hundreds of years since Jacob sired our tribal fathers. When have we ever been of one accord? We've also never had a king to lead us before. It'll be his first order of business to call for unity, I assure you. Emmett moved in closer, dropping his voice. Is he up to it? Do you think? The young man was quiet for so long I wondered whether I'd missed his response. I held my breath. My father will rise to the challenge. I'm certain of it. Shock buzzed in my veins. This was Saul's son? He did have the extreme height and warrior aspect of his father, along with the dark hair and beard. He'll have no problem recruiting Benjamite, said Emmett. But Yehuda and Shimeon? He not shook his head. You saw how they reacted to the outcome of the lots. Saul's son hummed in reluctant agreement. Perhaps you can be of help in that regard. Your mother hails from the south, doesn't she? She does, near Arad, said Emmett. But the Amalekites drove her family north when she was a child. I'll have no sway over any man of Yehuda, regardless of my maternal heritage. But it does give you a unique voice, said Saul's son. Perhaps, Emmett mused. Will he put you in charge of a unit? I hope so. I plan to show him I'm worthy. You know what else all of this means, don't you, Yonatan? Someday you'll be king. It was at this moment that my body betrayed me. I'd been crouched in such an awkward position behind the boulder for so long that a muscle in my leg cramped. My foot skidded across the stony ground with a grating rasp and I went down, landing hard on one knee. Eyes pressed close, I held my breath and prayed no one had heard my blunder. Too late. A large hand came down on my shoulder, at once grabbing me by the tunic and jerking me to my feet. Ugh, Sevi will never let me forget that he was right. With my heartbeat thrumming at the back of my throat and dread prickling my skin, I looked up into the eyes of the heir to the throne. Catch a spy there, did you? Said Emmett, thick amusement in his voice. Indeed, said Yonatan, his piercing gaze taking me in head to foot before he snatched the knife from its sheath, and an armed one at that. Instinct battled reason. I was no slender reed, but Yonatan easily outweighed me by a third. He was probably equal in height to his giant of the father, and was the son of the new king of Israel. Not to mention there were at least 15 warriors within a few paces of what had been my hiding spot. So I held still as he examined my weapon. Where'd you get this, boy? You steal it? I bristled. I made it. Emmett barked out a laugh. You expect us to believe that? My blood went hot, but I swallowed against the glut of rage in my throat. Something about the man reminded me of Hanan, and it made me want to smash my fist into his arrogant mouth. But I refused to waste this, my first impression, with the heir to the throne of Israel. I lifted my chin. It took me 3 tries to get the blend of copper and tin just right. The heat had to be perfect, and I found once I added ash to the mold, it worked far better than the first try. Not only could it slice through bone with little effort, flies true, I assure you. I kept my eyes on Yonatan, hoping to prove my words sincere, but Emmett's disbelieving stare singed the side of my face. How old are you? Said Yonatan. I knew what he saw, a young man who'd not quite grown into his feet and hands, a beard still coming into its fullness over a face that was a shade too youthful to pass for military age. But my shoulders had widened in the past few months, and I'd gained nearly a handspan of height, along with a substantial amount of bulk from laboring with my uncle's men as they loaded and unloaded wagons. A task I relished because it bothered Hanan so much to see me sweating alongside those so far beneath his pristine sandals. But my youth had nothing to do with my skills. I'm old enough to make superior weapons to the vast majority in Hebrew hands. Their brows flew high at my audacity, but this was no time for false modesty. I'd been taught by a master metalsmith. Since I'd been a boy, I'd studied every weapon I could get my hands on, taking them apart to understand the craftsmanship wherever I could. I'd even figured out how to make leather armor because I refused to give up when I wanted to learn something. The ability to hone in on a task until I mastered it had served me well and would continue to do so when I was a soldier. This was my opportunity to lay the groundwork for a future with Saul's army as a master of weapons making. After a few moments, Yonatan chuckled. No lack of confidence, I see. With a blank expression, the red-haired warrior kept his eyes on me. Fine line between confidence and foolhardiness, if you ask me. I set my jaw, determined not to snatch up the bait Emmett had laid down. If it wasn't for the red hair, I would lay that fine knife on a bet the arrogant cur was actually related to my uncle. This is well made, said Yonatan, running the paddle and long finger along the edge of my blade. There were no nicks to be found there. I'd sharpened it last night as Avi blathered on with some rambling story about an altercation between 2 young Levites in Naioth over a woman. Why anyone would fight over one woman was beyond me. There were plenty enough to go around. Yonatan held the weapon up to one eye and squinted the other, peering down the flat of the blade with a hum of satisfaction for its clean lines. That quiet approval echoed in my chest like a clap of thunder. I'd spent hour after hour smoothing the metal, ignoring everything else until it was perfect. It had been time well spent, even if my mother had fussed I was ignoring my responsibilities around the house. As if it mattered. As the richest man in Ramah, Hanan employed a bevy of servants to wait hand and foot on my mother and sisters. His efforts to force me into following his footsteps had always been destined to fail. I would never be like him, no more than I meant to be like my father. his worthless brother, who'd left my mother a widow. I would be my own man, and this moment was the first step forward to that goal. Yonatan suddenly flicked his wrist, tossing my knife into the air. With a glimmer of sunlight, the blade flicked twice before landing in the prince's left palm. He grinned. Well balanced, too. It took every drop of effort to keep an answering grin off my face, when in truth a shout of pure triumph was demanding to burst from my mouth. But I would not act the boy I'd been twice accused of being today. I locked my muscles tight, willed my breath to remain slow and steady, and allowed only one tip of my chin to acknowledge the praise. "A left-handed weapon," said Emmett. "You're Benjamite, then." I nodded. It was a trait our tribe was famous for. Those of us who were not naturally inclined to use our left hands in weaponry were trained to do from the earliest years. And even though Hanan eschewed any training himself and did his best to discourage me from doing so, I taught myself the skill of using both hands with not only a blade, but with a bow and a sling. The one thing I would not do was learn how to write with either hand, because it was the only skill my uncle desired me to develop. I could read the symbols of our language, which my mother had taught me before my father died, but I refused to play the scribe and endlessly etch lines of script and numbers into ledgers like Hanan, a task he adored almost as much as he did my mother and sisters, his one and only redeeming quality in my eyes. "And you can use this?" asked Yonatan, almost reluctantly handing me the knife by its blade. I looked the king's son in the eye, banishing the nerves that fluttered in my stomach. "I can hit the center of a target at 30 paces," I said, "perhaps more on a still day." One eyebrow arched. "Can you?" "And that knife is only one of my creations. I make spearheads, arrow tips, even metal sling stones that will travel twice the speed of stone, as well as sturdy leather scale armor." "A man of many talents," said Emmett, his tone entirely disbelieving. Heat flared at the base of my neck. "I've been smithing since I was 11, and studying weaponry since I could hold a blade." "Your father taught you these things?" asked Yonatan. "No." Bile sluiced over my tongue. "He's dead." His brow pinched. "I'm sorry." "I'm not," I interrupted, before I thought better of trampling a prince's words. "What I mean is, I learned most of it on my own, and the rest from a friend." At my vague explanation, a look passed between the two men that I could not interpret. But I was not about to explain to them that my drunken father had died when I was not even 6, and since then I'd spent more time with servants than the man who'd stepped in and married my mother. "It's a good story, but he stole it, Yonatan." Emmett let out a caustic laugh, and my body went stiff, my face burning. "He's far too young for such skill." Overcome with equal parts fury and pride, I spluttered, "That's a lie." Emmett shook his head, unconvinced. "Let's get back, Yonatan. I'm sure your father will address us soon." My vision blurred for a moment, and if the king's son had not been watching me, I would have plowed headlong into the red-headed fool, no matter how many years he had on me. I wanted to pummel the smugness from his face. I clenched both fists at my sides and breathed through my nose. Someone called Yonatan's name, and Emmett walked off in answer, not giving me another glance. But to my surprise, the king's son remained, his keen gaze on my face as I held on to what remained of my composure. "What is your name?" I flinched at the gentle tone. I'd fully expected Yonatan to follow his rude friend without another thought for me. "Gavriel ben Ilan of Ramah." "Well, Gavriel ben Ilan of Ramah, when you are old enough to fight for Israel, I'd be honored to have you in my unit. We'll need every weapon we can find, and those who can craft such things will be of great value, especially if they are of such excellent quality." I swallowed, too shocked to speak. "Have you made a sword?" "No, my lord," I said. "I have only scavenged materials or broken tools to work with." He folded his arms over his broad chest, frowning. "Our enemies certainly have a stranglehold on the metal trade, don't they?" With the Amalekites to the south blocking access to the copper mines, the Philistines and Venetians controlling the sea trade, and the Arameans, Moabites, and Ammonites dominating the trades east and north, there was little opportunity for us to obtain enough ore to make even one sword of quality, let alone the thousands we would need to overcome our enemies. "Time will come when you have plenty of material," Yonatan said. "You'll see. And then I expect you to make me a sword that will put those Philistine ones to shame." His dark eyes glimmered with amusement. I sensed it was not at my expense, but that of his disbelieving friend. I swallowed hard against the emotion that swelled in my throat as I bowed my head. "I will, my lord. I vow it." He clapped a hand on my shoulder and squeezed. "Good. Then we have a deal. Until then, keep honing these skills and seeking out new ones. We can always learn more, can't we?" I nodded, too overcome to respond as the king's son turned to walk away. He was right. I still had much to learn and would not rest until I mastered everything about my chosen craft. But if there was one thing I knew for certain, it was that Yonatan ben Saul was a man I would gladly follow into battle, and I would do whatever it took to ensure that his belief in me was justified.
There we go. I mean, that hot temper is going to get
Oh
him
yeah.
in trouble.
He does have that.
But he also has some self-control there too. Like he's
It's true.
already knowing he shouldn't be flying off the handle.
Exactly.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's a
Whether
lot
he
of,
employs that self-control or not is a different.
yeah.
Yeah. It's all justified.
He may not, not at all times.
So
Well,
do
go
you
ahead.
want to
Go ahead. Your turn.
I was just what started you on writing and biblical historical to start with, or how has your process changed over time? Tell us a little bit about your writing.
Well, I didn't set out to write biblical fiction. I've always been a huge historical fiction reader since I was a little kid. I've always loved historical fiction. And so that was kind of what I hoped to write someday, in that dream of writing a book one day that I never thought would actually come to fruition. And so I didn't actually start really writing until I was 35. I just didn't have enough confidence to sit down and actually write anything for real, other than a few odd, scenes here or there that I thought were totally terrible. And so I was really just doing some study on my own, trying to understand the roots of our faith and how the shadows of Christ in the Old Testament connected to the New Testament. And so I was really digging into the Exodus. And I read the line that said, a mixed multitude went up with the Hebrews out of Egypt. And I started to just kind of mull on that and think about who those people were and why they left Egypt, why they left their gods behind and followed this invisible God that had just destroyed the country into the desert. And that's when Counter with the Stars started percolating in my mind. So I spent 5 years not only researching Egypt and Israel, but also teaching myself how to write because I'd never written a manuscript before. So it took me about 5 years to do that and ended up getting published on my first book, which is pretty crazy. And
That's amazing.
still pinching myself that I'm, 17 or 18 books into this.
Yeah.
But back then I was, like I said, teaching myself how to write. So I didn't know how to plot. I didn't know about characterization or anything. So I was learning as I went. Now, after 18 books or whatever, I keep losing count. I have more of a system that I use, and like I was telling you earlier, I have a plotting group that I go on a yearly retreat with, and we spend a whole week together just plotting as many books as we can possibly do. And so that's kind of the beginning of my process now. I bring an idea and we each get two 90-minute sessions for our books. And so then we just throw out as many ideas as possible. So usually by the time I'm done with that retreat, I have a pretty good general idea of what my story is going to be. And then I write out my chapters, just kind of chapter by chapter summaries, and then I dig in. And I actually handwrite a lot of my stories. Kind of depends on where I'm at in the process, but I really like writing by hand. It just triggers something in my brain that really makes my creativity spark, and it turns off my inner editor. And so I do a lot of writing by hand now. So I'm kind of a plotter, but also a pantser at the same time. I leave lots of room for exploration.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, your website lists 5 series: Out from Egypt, which you just talked about,
Mhm.
Cities of Refuge, The Covenant House, The King's Men, which we're on now,
Mhm.
and Ordinary Women of the Bible. And I
Yes.
just wonder, do you have a favorite series among those?
Ooh, that's like picking between my children. I would say out of all of the books that I've written, my very favorite book is Between the Wild Branches, which is the second one of the Covenant House series.
Mhm.
And I think that's just because I watched Lucio, the main character in that book, grow up. And I had so much fun writing that book. It like literally just flowed out of my pen so quickly, much easier than most of my other books. And I don't know, I really was very in tune with him. And it was a fun book because he's a bare knuckle fighter. And so I got to write lots of fight scenes and get my aggression out. So that was fun. But I don't know.
I
I like
wondered
all of
about
my
that
series
when
for
you were
different
reading the
reasons.
prologue even. That was funny. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, all this,
Yes.
it's the warriors and the battle
Yes.
scenes, it's all coming. Yeah, so it
It
sounds
is
like
lots of fun, and there was a lot of kind of that. You'll see when in the first chapter of Splendor of the Land opens in a bar fight. So yeah, it's lots of fun to write something that's completely has nothing to do with me.
See, that
Just
one was
completely
justified, though. That one was him being a good guy.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Rana says she
He's
loves
definitely
all
made
your
some bad
books.
choices, but he's got a good heart deep
Yes.
inside.
Rana loves all your books, and she thinks it's so interesting that you handwrite.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
Beth says, I love this setting for the first book in that series. It made me want to live there.
Oh yeah, it's
I
beautiful
really
there.
like him. Yeah, he's a good guy. I think you'll really like this one, Beth. Make sure you're getting. Well, you know
You just
what?
gotta hang in there. Like the first few chapters are a little rough because he's a little rough. But
Yeah, yeah,
once you see him cross paths with Zahava, we start to see his sweet, tender side come out.
yeah,
And that's what makes their pairing so good.
yeah, for sure.
Well, and when I first started reading your books, I think I started with the cities of refuge. Somebody
Mm,
recommended them to me, and they said, "Boy, this is really unusual." I
yeah.
agree. I don't think anybody else has written about the cities of refuge that I know
Not
about.
that I'm aware of. No, that was
Yeah.
so much fun because that's just like this much in
Mm.
there's like a couple of paragraphs in the Bible. I think it's Joshua 20, about the cities of refuge, and it just sparked my imagination, and it was a really fun series to write. That one was hard to end. I was so in love with Mariah and her whole family, and I watched her grow up from a 13-year-old girl into a great grandmother. And so that one, I literally cried as I was writing the last scene in that because it was hard to let go of.
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of have like linking points, right, from series to
Mhm.
series.
Yes, there is a link. Now, some of those links are really subtle, and you have to be a careful reader to notice what they are, but there is links between all of my books. Even the Ordinary Women series, there's a couple of scenes that tie over to Between the Wild Branches and the Kingsman series.
Who are the ladies in your ordinary women?
Well, the first one is the woman with an issue of blood, so that's the only one that's not connected. Maybe generations down, I don't know.
Yeah, it will
And
be.
then Shipra, the the woman who stood up to Pharaoh, to the midwife who stood up against Pharaoh, and then David's mother, so
Gotcha.
mother of kings, and that's the one that ties across.
You really brought these characters to life. Yes, absolutely. That's what I think is so. That's what one of the reasons I love biblical fiction because you can get like such a big context of. It's easy to
Yeah,
just skim through the Bible and yep, of course that
it
happened, of
is.
course that happened, but then like you get the geography and the culture and
Yes.
why this person made this decision that is made and what are the results of having cities of refuge because
Mhm.
obviously they had a reason for having these
Yeah.
safe zones. So
Well, and there's such an amazing picture of Jesus in the Old Testament. Like I never even paid attention to that. The having to run to the refuge, and then the high priest has to die in order for the manslayer to go free. And it's just as if he never sinned. And it's just a gorgeous picture of the sacrifice of Christ.
I love that.
Yeah. Um, well, and talking about the guidepost series, what is different about writing for guideposts versus your other publisher?
Well, they were a little shorter, so that was actually a challenge. You'd think that writing longer books is easier or is harder, but it's actually for me because I'm verbose. It's harder for me to kind of truncate it down. And because I like a lot of layers and different subplots and a lot of characters that kind of all work together in a big um, cast of characters, it was actually hard to like narrow it down. And then the other hard thing was that I was writing those books at the same time I was writing books for Bethany House. And so, and in fact, I had one character whose name was Tirza in like Flames in the Night, and the other character whose name was Tikva in the Ordinary Woman series. And so, and I could not change either name because the one was in my series and the other one they gave me. So I couldn't change names. And so I was writing Tirza and Tikva back and forth, and I turned in the manuscripts for both of it, and they both asked me, "Who's this character, Tikva or Tirza?" Because I had like exchanged names as I was writing because I had them all jumbled in my head. So I had to go through and edit those, but that was a little difficult. I got through it.
Oh, that's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know what? Is that showing up already?
Yeah.
I started posting that. That's funny. No, I thought I was getting ahead of the game, so we'll save those responses
Save that for later. Okay.
That's crazy. Sorry. I thought I was like working while Dana and Connie were talking. And okay, don't give away any hints on that one.
Okay. Are you taking the next question, kiddo?
Yes, that's me. I'm definitely on that. So Dana and I both a little late on the game here. We've only read a couple of chapters of Splendor of the Land, but your new characters are just gorgeous. They're female character, highly skilled woman, a trait that's very common in your previous books, and also she's befriended like the neighboring pagan culture.
Yes.
And the help or hindrance that they potentially bring. So how do your characters in your story play off of each other?
You know, I think that just kind of happens as I'm writing. I don't really plan a whole lot of those kind of secondary characters. They kind of appear on the page as I go. And so I let them kind of boss me around and tell me what to do as I go along the plot. And sometimes they steal the show, which can be fun and it can be difficult. So yeah, I think that I want to have secondary characters and minor characters that all work together to help the hero and heroine to, come along their journey. And so it's always fun to write those. Sometimes they become so vivid in my mind. I dream up novellas and things for some of these secondary characters that I hope to write someday.
That's
in all my
awesome.
in all my spare time.
Oh yeah. So we'll expect
Learn
that
to write short.
right?
Right. Exactly.
That's funny.
Okay, here's my question. In several of your stories, I've noticed the main character making a foolish choice that led to dire consequences. This is traumatic to the character and keeps the readers on the edge of their seats. Are you doing it again in Splendor of the Land?
Absolutely.
I've also noticed you always go on like this really big adventure or quest too. Is that like all the time or just the one?
I think that's just kind of ended up being my brand, and I really enjoy that. I like adventure stories, and so yeah. Although the next book that I'm writing right now, it isn't so much an adventure story. It kind of takes place in one area. So, although well, there's some little side quests, but for the most part, it kind of takes place in one area. I won't give that away where it is.
Rebecca wants to know if these secondary characters ever surprise you.
Oh, absolutely. I've had secondary characters pop up on screen and they, like I said before, they just steal the show. And even like you were talking about animals earlier, I've had some animals pop up and, they just kind of were periphery little, they just popped up and then they became like a star of the show. So that's always fun. And kids are always fun to write too. They come in there and a lot of times I'll use children as some comic relief and to show tender sides of characters, and so those are always fun.
Melissa says, Cities of Refuge is my favorite series. I love the complete circle of your plot for these books, revenge and forgiveness. And I love Lucio also.
Yeah, that tends to kind of be a common plot in a lot of my
He's a
books.
common book boyfriend. Is that what we're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, probably so.
Are we allowed to have book boyfriends in biblical fiction?
I think so. I think
Oh, wait a
so.
minute. Are Christians allowed to have book boyfriends?
That's true.
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, that's funny. Do you ever model your characters off of real people that you know, or has anyone
I
in
don't
your life
I
impacted your
don't think
life?
so. I don't even like a lot of writers will choose actors to model certain characters off of. They'll pick Chris Hemsworth or something, and they'll use that picture in their minds. I can't do that because if I have a character in mind, and I try and put an actor's face on it, it messes up what's going on in my head. And so I don't think I've ever really patterned a character after a person in my life or even an actor. In fact, there was one time I tried to do that. Like I just picked a random picture of a guy that I thought looked like one of my characters, and then I happened across his Twitter feed and he was a horrible person. And I was like, oh no, I can't use that picture anymore because it messes up my character. So I have to they have to be complete imaginary people in my mind. But to me, they're completely real. You know,
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
joke that I'm going to be really disappointed if I don't get to meet some of my characters in heaven because they're very real to me.
I kind of get that, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Beth would
become
like to know.
friends.
Beth would like to know if reading The Splendor of the Land will give away any spoilers from the first two books in the series.
I would say probably so. Yeah. Because there is a mystery that starts in the first book that goes through to the fourth book. And so, yeah, I think you would get some, you can read them out of order, but you will get some spoilers, I would say.
Yeah, for book club purposes. Yeah, so
No.
like I haven't read two, and it's been a while since I've read one, Beth. So I think I'm managing fine, but then again, I've read one, so I think I had
Yeah.
the general idea. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it was a spoiler if you
that's
read
true.
book 4.
It's
Of
true.
course, you might then go back and read book 1 that you never read and go, "Oh, I know what happens to this character," but
That's true. That's true.
Oh, she's also read the first two. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so
that's
yeah,
the
for book
price you
clubs,
have.
I think you could do it standalone. You need to
Yeah.
read the first two before Splendor. So if you want the full story, but if you've only got like someone interested
Hmm.
for a short period, then I think it could
Yep.
be standalone.
Yeah.
And if you want the full experience, you read the little novellas that I wrote as well.
Yeah.
The first two are on Kindle, and the third one you can get for free if you pre-order. And so those novellas take place when the King's men are boys, so long before they are heroes. And so that's just kind of a fun thing that I wanted to kind of dig into their backgrounds. And so I was kind of figuring it out for myself, and I thought these would be. I've been writing one for each book, and it's been a lot of fun to hang out with the
Yeah.
boys when they were having their own little adventures.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to go ahead and start with the game, right? Or do we have
Yeah. Now we're going to go to the game that I already kind of gave
Well,
some spoilers
you
to.
can have the first question. That was just a test question.
Oh, right. See if you're.
That
If
was
you're
a warm-up.
I'll try to get all of your comments back on here. We're going to do a trivia. We're going to see how you do with the trivia and how Connie and Dana do with the trivia. So,
Oh, I am not a fast thinker, so I'm sure y'all will beat me.
Well, let's see. So do Connie and I just say ours out loud? And
yeah, give it a couple of seconds so that we can get comments in.
yeah, let
And
other people comment first. Otherwise,
Okay.
you might be intimidated, right?
yeah. All right, I'm scrolling back up to my goof there. I thought I was like being all clever and working ahead there. Awesome. So my first question, which of the following was a mother-son pair? Rebecca and Moses, Leah and Esau, Jochebed and Seth, or Bathsheba and Solomon? I'm gonna start putting up people's guesses. So do you have your letter in your minds? Okay. Rebecca says D. Mother and son. Rana says Bathsheba and Solomon. Let's see here. I think. Oh, Beth says D. Melissa says D. What do you ladies say?
D.
D.
You are all correct. Well done on that.
Pretty interesting though.
Well done on that. All right. When the Jews decide to kill Saul in Acts 9, he escaped by being lowered from its walls in a basket. In what city? Jerusalem, Damascus, Rome, or Bethlehem? Let's see here. Oh, you got your letter? Because I'm moving on to the. I think I've got some comments. Saul escaped from Damascus. I'm just scrolling through. Sorry. Beth says we're fun. That was good. I don't know. This is Bathsheba and Solomon. Oh, you girls are like, look at you. You're already getting back into it, even though I goofed. Thank you. That's helpful. Beth says B. Melissa says Damascus. All right. Dana, Connie, what do you got?
Damascus is my guess.
Yeah, Damascus.
You are all correct. Look at you.
Yay.
So good. Okay. Here's the actual surprise ones. Here it comes. All right. Let me copy that. Now I have to take an extra second to do this. All right, here we go. This is for everybody. We're all caught up. What did Jonathan eat that broke the fast Saul had called for his army when they were fighting the Philistines? A, bread dipped in vinegar. B, olives. C, honey. Or D, wheat. In honor of the king's men. So
there's actually a reference to that in this book.
Melissa says honey. Beth says C, which is honey. See, you guys are just so good on these. You guys know your Bible trivia. All right, Dana and Connie, what do you got?
C, honey. We're gonna have to think of some really obscure stuff.
I know. You know what? I have a good mind for this, so I don't know what other people think is obscure or not. All right, this one is
I'm not sure either.
And we've all been C, honey. Yes, that's correct. We've all been studying our areas so much that of course it's common knowledge, right? Oh, hey, Rebecca says honey, and Rana said she didn't know that one. Okay, so that was an obscure one. Yeah, it's a really interesting story.
It is, yeah.
It's a crazy one. All right.
Well, it's in Splendor of the Land if you want to read all about it.
Or in the Bible. You're welcome to read the Bible too.
Yeah, please read it in the Bible first. Then read Splendor.
All right, true or false, India is mentioned twice in the Bible.
Ooh, that's a toughie.
Ooh, hey, I got a toughie. All right. All right. I'm waiting. Everyone's thinking. All right. I guess we stumped people. Oh, here we go. Directly or indirectly? It's actually directly. True or false?
By name?
By name. True or false, India was mentioned directly or indirectly? Directly. False. We've got a couple trues. Rana guesses false. Melissa guesses false. Dana, Connie, what do you think?
I would say false, but I think it was mentioned in some of the apocryphal books because I think one or two of the apostles went to India.
That's what I was thinking.
And you
Yeah,
said
I
false
was gonna
too,
say
Connie?
false too.
Okay, it's actually true. It's mentioned in
Really?
Esther. We've
Huh?
got Esther 1
Wow.
1 and Esther 8 9, where we mention the province of India.
Wow, how interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Good
that's a
job.
real story sparker, because like if he's pulling all of the virgins from his entire
Yeah, that
kingdom, that
is.
goes all the way to India. So, and then we have ladies, the next generation. So
Interesting.
yeah, and Thomas, yeah, that's the
Thomas, yeah.
legend, is that he went into Thomas went to India. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've heard that too. All right, next one. Hey, I got a stumper on that one. That's good, pretty good. What name? Well, let me do this simultaneously. See, I think this one's going to be easy. I think this is going to be easy. We'll see. This is a name one. A, B, C, or D. What name appears in the shortest verse of the Bible? Eve, Jesus, Moses, or Job?
Good one.
That says B. She's kind of been studying the New Testament, so let's see. I think Beth knows. Oh, Melissa's pulling out the whole verse here. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Biblical scholars all.
I love it. What do you girls say? Do you agree with the
Yep.
audience?
Yeah.
Feel swept.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Okay, let's see what else I got here. All right. This, if you were paying attention in the reading, you might remember this one. What tribe was King Saul from? Judah, B, Levi, C, Benjamin, or D, Asher? All right, we got C, Benjamin. What do you girls think?
Those left-handed Benjamites.
Those
Yep.
left-handed Benjamins. Good job. You guys are good.
I always like that because I'm a left-handed person.
Are you? That's awesome.
I am.
Have you read Barbara Britton has a left-handed Benjamite in Building Benjamin. Have you read any of her series?
I don't think so. That's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Left-handed Benjamite in one of my books too, but I can't remember which one. I think it was Whirlwind, and he was a left-handed Benjamite with his bow riding.
Yeah.
All right, this one's in honor of Dana. Elijah gave instructions for the healing of Naaman, the commander of the army of Syria, from leprosy. True or false? Melissa says yes. Oh no, my comments are froze. Oh no. Well, what is your answer? Because my comments are freezing up there.
Yeah, true. Right?
No.
No? False?
False. It was Elisha.
Oh, Elijah. You're right.
Yeah.
My brain caught on the word Naaman, not on Elisha and Elijah.
It's like somebody healed Naaman. It was a prophet.
Yep. You're right.
Oh my goodness. How many times during the writing of any of the Elisha books, or anyway, I was always mixing up the names.
Yeah.
Elijah and Elisha. My critique partners caught it every time.
See, it's like Tikva and Tirzah. It's hard to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
So we got true, Elisha, and sneaky. I
Yeah.
knew that. My
No,
brain
I
had a
was thinking.
freeze. Yes, it was a tricky one.
Definitely.
It was a tricky one. Okay, last one. Let's see how we did here. Which prophetess said, "Sing to the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously, the horse and his rider thrown into the sea, and led the women of Israel in a dance"? A. Anna, B. Miriam, C. Deborah, or D. Huldah? We got Miriam from Melissa, Miriam from Beth. All right, Connie, Dana, what do you got?
Miriam.
You guys are so good. Awesome. Well, if you want me to give you a sneak peek of all the answers again, I'll be happy to oblige. Oh, goodness. Yeah, Miriam is correct. You guys are good on that. Awesome job, guys. Yeah, so if you're tuning in now or if you are catching up on the live stream, thank you so much for joining us. The comments will be open through the weekend. Be sure you're getting in there. There are giveaways from Bethany House of Splendor of the Land paperbacks. You don't want to miss that. And yeah, so be sure you're doing lots of comments.
Signed book plates.
Signed book plates. If you order up until release day, I think, isn't it, Connie? Like,
Yes.
Up until Tuesday. So we'll announce the winners, and then if you order up until Tuesday, you will get 40% off, which is a fantastic deal. It's like $11 a book for a paperback, and it's free shipping.
And you get the free novella too, so it's really
free shipping. It's an amazing deal all the way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably the best deal out there.
Yeah, I can't. Nobody else beats it.
Yeah, and I think
Baker House is really quick about shipping, so a lot of times don't count on it, but sometimes you get your book early. So I've seen them go out early. So,
and I think the paperbacks are even at this stage, they're cheaper than the ebook too. So we're like real close, like about the same price as the ebook. So
yeah, yep.
It's really a great deal. So if you want to wait until we announce the winner, then you're welcome to do that, because again, that sale goes on through Tuesday. So yeah, thanks so much. We loved your reading. Beth can't wait.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we're so glad to connect with you and the readers on that. And then readers, if you are watching, feel free to interact with this. If you sign up for Connilyn's newsletter, you'll get abreast of all of her happenings and first news and all that. And I do have to say, if you haven't been on BFA in a while, Connie, I know you needed this, so you're welcome. But we went ahead and gave you some suggestions for book 4 for the title.
Oh, that's great.
You'll have to look at that.
I'll have to take a look. Yeah,
because we were the assignment is find something on your left and give it a glorious sounding name. So we've got some pretty.
I love it. I love it. I will go take a look for sure.
Because I know
I will be announcing the actual title for real as soon as I turn in my manuscript.
Oh, how exciting!
I don't allow myself to announce it until the manuscript is turned in. So
will there be a book 4? It's due in like very soon. It's due
as soon as I finish writing it. Yes, I'm a little late, but some of you know I've had a bit of a rough summer with my mom passing, so things have been a little crazy, but I'll get there. We'll get it done.
So very cool. Well, we are so excited for you. Congratulations on all these amazing epic series, and thank you for taking us on such a great journey as readers. And
it's a fun one. It's going to be hard to let go of when I'm all done. I'm
kind
of dreading writing the end.
There is a hint in book 3 about book 4. Ooh, Melissa, girl, don't give me. What was there a part in the Bible that the Kenites did have to move like that, or was that a?
That's actually that passage is when God tells Saul to go and get rid of the Amalekites, And the Amalekites, they were constantly causing problems. And so he said, Saul, get rid of every single one of them. But because the Kenites were living among the Amalekites, and the Kenites had been kind to the Hebrews when they left Egypt,
Mhm.
and so he, in gratefulness for that, he allowed them to leave so that they didn't get in the
Awesome.
middle of the battle with the Amalekites. And so that's what sparked my ideas about having Gavi be part of that, moving the Amalekites. I'm sorry, moving the Kenites away from the Amalekites.
And do you recall the scripture that one's on?
I do not. I am terrible with references.
Okay, your assignment is to all the audience to read the
Yes.
Bible and let us know. I'm guessing you'll probably find it in like Second
It's
Samuel.
I think it's First Samuel like 16, somewhere close to that area.
Good to go. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. To all of our audience, our readers, we're so grateful for you. Really do have the best group of people here, and we couldn't have these grand adventures without you as the readers. So thank you for all your crazy wild support. I know it means the world to Connie and to Dana and to myself as well. So
Absolutely.
we will have these posted on through the weekend. So make sure you're commenting, make sure you're connecting with Connie, and get in for that pre-order at Bake a House book. And we will see you around online. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.